Yeah.
I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Cavil of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Welcome to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I hope you're having a great day. Welcome to episode 645 as we keep getting better and keep counting down to 650. Wow. Welcome to episode 645 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, a show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from the NEIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. We're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to K-Sway's 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Famer, Ralph Cooper, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that, let's bring on Charles Bishop, AD. Drew. Charles Bishop, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Doc. I'm doing well. I tell you what, up here in New York with some Texas Southern students here at the spring networking trip for minorities in sports. And I tell you what, Doc, you'd be very proud of these Texas Southern students up here. They are showing out. They are really came prepared for this networking trip, and they're doing what Texas Southern expects to see from these young scholars in terms of getting out in front of these sports organizations and these companies and really putting their best foot forward.
I appreciate it, Charles, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your business schedule and making sure you were there to provide them the mentorship needed as a faculty member to take them up there to New York. Sorry for the little coldness, but we appreciate you regardless.
It's cold too.
Can't control the cold, man. We can't control the cold, but it is what it is. With that being said, Drew, how are you doing today?
I'm glad those students are prepared, Charles, because I know their dean would give them an F squared. You're only a professor, so you can only give them an F, Charles. The F squares have to go to the dean. But other than that, I'm just enjoying my one shining moment, fellas. You know what I mean? So yeah, I got you, man. I got you.
You can.
We're not mad.
Wait for it, y'all. Wait for it.
With a long shot from outside. The Gators are going to the Final Four.
And another number one seed advances.
And when it's done,
Here it comes.
The storybook season.
I see you.
I mean, they gave you 15 more seconds of fame.
San Antonio.
That's good. Good second. You got in there. Hey, man, the thing about it is just how it worked out. That was certainly wasn't planned, but sometimes the best opportunities come from those that are working, being prepared so they don't have to get prepared. So that's fascinating how that worked out. And for the Houston folks around here, that's probably about the only shining moment that they got. It didn't work out for them last night. Tough way to get it done. Lost.
And shout out to Andrew Roberts, media director for the SWAC office, because he's the one who actually sent me the text like, you made one shining moment. Oh, because by that time I had halfway kind of fell asleep by the time one shining moment came on. So
it was late.
I had to go. First thing I got up this morning, I YouTubed it like, Oh crap!
It was late. You talking about those folks?
And I'm an hour ahead of you.
Exactly. Yeah,
It was
everybody trying to
almost
catch
midnight.
up and make sure they get their West Coast in media market. Boy, it can do wonders for those in Central. But yeah, in the East Coast, yeah, they calling hogs if you ain't careful, boy. I tell you,
Mm.
next day at work, it could be really tough trying to see your sporting events the way they are broadcast there. But yeah, for all our lab listeners, what's up, Lenny? Saying hello to everybody. With that being said, let's get into it. Go back to you, Charles. What HBCU news is hot and heavy on your mind? A lot going on the last couple of days.
Yeah, a lot going on, Doc. Let's see here. Let's pull something up. I gotta pull things back up here on my computer, but let's take a look at Diamond Johnson, Norfolk State's Diamond Johnson. Speaking of Lyndon Blow, she was named the MVP of the Women's All-Star Game. So in preparation for the 2025 WNBA draft, Norfolk State guard Diamond Johnson added another spectacular performance to her resume in the Lilly Women's College All-Star Game. As a member of Team Miller, coached by Women's Basketball Hall of Famer Cheryl Miller, Johnson was named the game's MVP. She finished with 21 points on 9 of 13 shooting, including three three-pointers that sealed her team's win. She also grabbed 4 rebounds and 2 steals. So congratulations to Diamond Johnson in terms of some more postseason accolades, being the game's MVP there in the Lilly Women's College All-Star Game.
And Norfolk State is taking a lot of delight right now. You talk about Diamond Johnson. Obviously, they had a men's player that was awarded championship in the dunk contest this past weekend, NCAA Final Four. They named the replacement for the women's coach, Jermaine Woods. Got the update in the call. They formally have announced him. Many people kind of lean towards the fact that he might be on the short list and probably would likely to get the job. He becomes the 7th head coach of school's women's basketball program as it's pending the board of visitor approval. But it should go through in terms of most people's thought process of what that looks like. What's intriguing to me, you talking about what a legend to follow, even though he is a representative of Norfolk State. So it'll be interesting to see what he can get done. He's quoted as saying, "We're very excited to welcome Jermaine Woods to Norfolk State family to lead the women's basketball program," according to Norfolk State's Director of Athletics, Dr. Melody Webb. Coach Woods' extensive experience as a head coach, recruiter, and leader has demonstrated his ability to elevate programs to new levels. I'm confident that his skills will translate seamlessly to this team, continuing the historic trajectory that these young women have set in place. I look forward to watching the Norfolk State community embrace Coach Woods and his family as he steps into his new role. So fascinating to see. As he was given many platitudes from the president on down, as well as providing his expectation of where he wants to take the program, which for him, he said was continued work. So fascinating to see a little bit about that. That being said, Drew, what's on your mind in terms of the sporting landscape?
I got 2 stories, but and I'm gonna stick with the HBCU specific one, and then if it comes back around to me, I'll get into the second one. Let's go to the CIAA and let's go to the Rams of Winston-Salem State, who've been playing basketball in the Gain Center since 1978. Well, that may soon end, as you know. And we talk so much crap about our government, but the state government in North Carolina has proposed a bill that allows $112.5 billion to be used for a health, physical education, recreation complex for Winston-Salem State. The money would be used to build a new multi-purpose facility that would include a new home for Winston-Salem basketball. We know the current gym seats about 2,500, which was an improvement from their other gym when Big House Gaines coached that only sat 1,500 people. So, and if we remember back to when Winston-Salem tried to make the move to the Division One level, this was one of their bigger problems because they could not host basketball games on campus and had to rent out of the facilities, which was one of a number of problems that, well, I won't say problems, issues and opportunities that occurred during that transition. If you remember back in about 2006 to about 2009, if I've got my years correct. So, but kudos. Anytime we've got an HBCU getting money, especially from the state government for new facilities, be it athletic, be it dorms, be it classrooms, be it whatever, I think that's worthy of a mention.
Oh, no doubt. I agree with you. And that was Christian Ings, I should say, in terms of that won the State Farm College Slam Dunk Championship. I want to make sure that we give him love in terms of that. I'm going to go back to you. Or I'll stay with you, Drew. I know you said that there was a bit that you wanted to put in there. So I'm going to come back to you, and then we'll see if we can put Charles in there. If not, we might push it to the second segment or later in the show. But Drew, go ahead.
This one might eventually become HBCU related. We will find out. But Bobby Rome, who most recently was at Bobby Rome II, excuse me, don't want to offend Bobby Rome I, or if there's a Bobby Rome III out there, want to make sure we identify them properly.
That's right.
Who most recently built a winning program at Florida Memorial. You know, Florida Memorial was an upstart. They started their football program back during the pandemic, after about a 60-year hiatus, if I remember the number correct. Don't quote me on that number. I think it was 61. But he has been named the first ever head coach at Chicago State. Rome, a former North Carolina and professional football player, led the Lions to back-to-back 6-win seasons before his contract was not renewed this past January. The winning seasons were the first for Florida Memorial since they restarted program after, I guess I did have it right, a 60-plus year absence. According to a report by Chicago TV station Fox 32, the Cougars will take the field in time for the 2026 season. Home stadium options are still being considered at this time. So, Bobby Rome was not the first coach to bring Florida Memorial back. He was the second coach down there at Florida Memorial. But, actually having worked with a upstart fresh program, I think it brings a lot of experience to this Chicago State. And of course, we know the potential HBCU correlation in this, as Chicago State has been rumored to be one of those teams that may join the MEAC should the MEAC go into expansion.
Right. To take you back a little bit for those that may have forgotten or didn't hear it, when it was pretty heavy in the HBCU media space. Chicago State, a couple of years ago, sought membership, I should say, in what would be an expanded MEAC. They received the votes from the ADs, which we've heard before, but they did not receive the final vote necessary from the presidents. And they said one of the things on the table, or at least that was released or kind of out there, was the fact that they didn't have football. Not only did they not have football, is that the MEAC leadership wanted them to assure them that they would bring in football. And after speaking with the VP of athletics at Chicago State and getting some insight, is that they were very comfortable that they would likely get football, but they wanted to go through the proper process in terms of going through the vetting, doing the consultants, and making sure that it was realistic that they could bring back football. And ultimately, we heard the announcement that they would bring back football, and now we see that they're moving forward with announcing a coach. So it'll be interesting. With all that said, also is noted that they did gain membership into the NEC. So they start that. They played this past season, I believe, NEC member. And so NEC is looking for football so they could stay home there, or do they try to go back to the MEAC? It'll be interesting to see what that looks like. The MEAC actually go back out there and see and ask them if they still have interest. And so I would imagine this side, it would be more important that you probably get the recruiting questions or mechanism more from a MEAC perspective than Chicago State, because obviously they were not awarded admissions. So you don't necessarily run back to kind of get your head slapped again. You would want to know that there's interest for them. So it'll be fascinating, as you said. How does this work out? Obviously, not an HBCU by the designation, but they are what is referred to a minority serving institution, MSI. But the minorities that they serve happen to be a Black population. So oftentimes they are thought of in terms of a Black institution because of who they serve.
And didn't they just hire their basketball coach also out the HBCU ranks? I'm just trying to go back to my Wayback Machine, even though it's only about 2 weeks old right now. I mean, help me out, Doc. Help me out, Chuck.
Great point. Let's take our next break because I think yes is coming in there, and then we'll follow up latter part of the show to see if we can get in a little more dialogue because that's a great points there. Other news we can share as well as you get some more information on Dante Jackson. Tough decision, he said, to leave Grambling State as he moves to Alabama A&M. We've had that discussion with some other folks, but we'll see if you all want to talk a little bit about that. And we get into some baseball. It is baseball season, so we'll give you some updates, some rankings, where teams stand in the SWAC and the SIAC, the two HBCU conferences that play baseball at the Division II, Division I level, and then we have HBCAC that plays baseball at the NAI level. With that, we'll take a first break, come back on the other side, and see if we can get you this surprise guest that's continuing to do big things. We'll see what that looks like. Champion is in his defined definition now. With that, we'll be right back after that break.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, people trying to get down. It's like a loot machine.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Sonia from She Say Sports. Make sure to check us out every Friday morning at 9 a.m. on Black College Sports Network, YouTube, and Linktree. And please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page.
Press the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, getting it going and see if we can bring in the coach. But while we're doing that, looks like we do have Coach T.C. Taylor of Jackson State University. You know, we used to have to go through all the accolades, read his bio, but I think we can simplify it all now. And we just can say champion.
The champ is here.
The champ is here.
What's going on, fellas? How everybody doing,
That
man?
being said, welcome to the show, Coach T.C. Taylor. How's it going, Coach Champion?
It's going good, man. How you guys doing? Thanks for having me on.
Nope, doing great. Doing great, TC. Doing great, man.
Yes,
Despite the
indeed.
fact that you took my trophy from Tallahassee, but other than that, I'm all right, man.
Good to see you again, Coach.
You took a lot of trophies from me, but hey, I'm on the team. And you even had me in the transfer portal for a minute. You ain't take no trophy from me. Shit, I got a piece of trophy. They told me I was welcome in Jackson. So, I'm family. I'm good. Ain't no problem with me, Coach. Coach, how does it feel? I mean, when did you get a chance to realize that you accomplished that year's goal? I know coaches, you all in some ways have to find a way to move on to the next chapter. Obviously, you need some time with your family, which is extremely important. You got to find a way to go get them Christmas trees and things of that nature. You're going to have some other problems. But with that being said, and then you probably need some personal time, just kind of take it down a level to get prepared for the grind in that workspace. But where did you get a chance to kind of take some time to be like, all right, we did that. I checked it off. That was good.
Yeah. I think, Doc, leading after the game, those couple of weeks leading up to the new year, I really took some time to reflect back on the season. Enjoy the championship, enjoy that run that we were able to make, we're blessed to make. And, did a little deer hunting, hung with the family.
We got to ask the question. Did you get any bucks?
Oh, got a big one. End up killing, I think, had 15 points.
I didn't get any deer sausage.
See, you asked about the books. You asked about the deer sausage.
I know. I was setting you up. I want to know first.
You got to take that up with the wife now. She guards that freezer. It was leading up, and that time leading up to the new year. I wanted to really try to take it in. It seemed like everything happened so fast. That season went by so fast. You played a SWAC championship. You go win a Celebration Bowl, and then I can remember we flying back home, and we got landed. I look at my wife like, man, we got to do that again. I don't really remember having a great opportunity to celebrate everything. It seemed like soon as the game over, how Travis is here. He's pushing me to the media. I didn't really get to celebrate with the team. You got to go over here and do this. You got to do this. You got to see this person. But that time leading up just took some time.
Appreciate you, Travis, because one of those folks was us.
He does a pretty good job, though. That's my guy, Travis, so he gets me where I needs to be. But, leading up to the new year, and once that new year hit, I flipped the switch. It was time to get back to work, see what this roster looked like. We lost some coaches we had to replace. So it was all back to work after that, gearing up for 2025.
So you mean I got to celebrate longer than you did, Charles? Go ahead with your follow-up question.
You definitely did.
I know I did, Coach. I celebrated.
Let me tell you this, I planned on staying in Atlanta after the game, but after that game, my wife was right there at that bus and said, "Get your butt on here. We're going to get on this plane and get on back." So it was time to get on back anyway. But the game was, it was a beautiful deal to go down there and win a Celebration Bowl national championship. Just blessed.
AD, I'm gonna let you jump in here and ask the question.
Now that you've had time to decompress, Coach, and reflect, I'm gonna just hit you straight liquor, no chaser with this one. And no, I'm not gonna ask you for your tape from your spring practices or anything like that. But with the changing landscape, with everything that's supposed to be coming out from the NCAA this week, and we've seen how things have gone with NIL stuff changing left and right, changing more often than we change our underwear and portal stuff. How do you keep up, Coach? How do you how do you do it? Because what you may have planned in January and February, it changes in March and April, and Lord Jesus, we have no clue what's going to happen by the time August gets here, Coach. So how mentally, how do you deal with this in this particular day and age?
I think you just got to take it as it comes, like just for instance, for us right now, we just finished up with spring ball. So now we're just, getting ready for that storm of that transfer portal opening on April 15th. You're going to have guys going in, but just as soon as guys going in, we got to go in there too and be able to get some quality guys out of the portal, But it's like you said, I think you said it well. This is just what college football is. You got to adapt quick now to the things that's going on. All these kids are about pay for play right now. That's what the bottom line is. You want the good ones, you got to be able to generate some kind of funds with collectors and the NIL deals for these young men. And I'm not knocking it. I'm a former athlete, played it at its highest level. Shoot, I feel like I wish they'd been doing it when I was playing, but that's just the name of the game right now. These kids want to be compensated for play. Each year, though, the rosters are changing. Each year you're dealing with entirely new rosters. That's why we were so heavy more high school this past season. The way we recruited, we kind of stayed away from so many transferred guys because those high school guys you're a lot of times able to get 2, maybe 3, luckily 2, maybe 3 years out of those type of kids. But that's just what it is. You're going to be dealing with the transfer portal. Heck, I think about my situation. I've been losing coaches each year I've been in here. The coaches are even hitting the portal nowadays. So that's what it is. So you got to do a good job of what I tell my staff and the guys that's under this building. Go out and find the guys, the people that want to be here, and let's not forget how to develop these guys. Once you have a culture in place, I think all of that takes care of itself. Anytime, like when we have new coaches coming here, they see the standard, they see how we operate. So they know right now I got to raise my level of coaching and teaching and how I mentor these young men. The players, when they come in here, we had a few transfers that did come here in the mid-year, and they were able to adapt quick because the players that was currently here, you coming off a championship year. They know how we get up from the moment we get up, how we operate till the time we leave this building. So, I think the culture has to be set in these programs. So when you're getting so many new faces year in, year out, you're able to compete on a high level.
Can I ask a quick follow-up? Just a quick one, Doc.
Sure.
Do you almost have to have a JUCO coach mentality nowadays, even though you're at a 4-year institution with the turnover? We know what turnover at a JUCO is. So do you almost have to have that mentality now?
Now, I hear people say that all the time. We're glorified JUCOs. I don't look at it like that. You look at the group of 5 schools. You got Power 4 schools losing players each and every year. You just got to be able to develop what you got, get the most out of the players, that's on your roster. And that's what it is. They are dealing, you talk about some of these Power 4, group of 5 schools that come in here and, get those players out here. Yeah, they got a different deck of cards they're kind of playing with, but they're still losing a lot of kids year in, year out as well. Everybody's dealing with this problem. So the thing you have to do is make the adjustment, get the right players in there, or replace those guys when they leave and get it going. Basically, I'm not the type to sit up and make an excuse. That's just what college football is now. The demand is still to win.
When it's all said and done.
The alternative is that you have maybe a position where you can keep some players a year longer than you would in the class, the graduation. So
I think that's that's what we pride ourselves on here. I tell these guys when I'm recruiting them and bringing in, we're going to no knock against nobody else, but we're going to do things the right way. We're going to do a good job of taking care of you on a day-to-day basis, while you're here. We want to make sure when you come through that door, come in this building, you want to be here. I don't want no guy waking up, having to come to practice, having to be around here in the building and just dreading coming to work, So we try to lay out a great atmosphere for these guys and let them know too, it's not only about the dollars, it's about how we developing you as a young man, as a football player, and getting you ready for the next level. And that we genuinely care. We do care about you as a young man.
You have a lot of experience in this question, putting together a conference that looks at the HBCU ecosystem, where we're going to bring in commissioners of HBCU programs, athletic directors, VP of athletics, entrepreneurs, and some of those social media giants that are out there in terms of the HBCU space. I asked this question I provided information from this question. How do you think the HBCU ecosystem that may be slightly different than other FCS spaces, how could that be a benefit in terms of this new climate?
I'm trying to grasp the question where you're asking. You're saying, how are we different from these other FCS programs as far as being HBCU?
Yeah, I guess and maybe I'm interjecting some personal feelings. I believe that we're different. I think we have a unique culture, associated with HBCUs that I'm calling the HBCU ecosystem. So I probably should have defined it a little more at first. But yes, that's the framing. Are there some benefits to being in that social cultural space that allows you in this marketplace maybe to try to take advantage of it?
Definitely. I mean, you look at the fanfare in HBCU football right now, what's going on compared to the other FCS programs. You're talking about night and day. You talking about night and day. You do have your North Dakotas, the South Dakota, some of those heavy hitters like that. But, the rest of those schools doesn't quite get the attendance and the, that fanfare that we get on a weekly basis. You talk about a JSU, a FAMU, Southern. I can keep going. The list goes on for us, the support for as the fanfare and things like that. And I guess, and then you look at the exposure that HBCUs are getting right now. You really don't, and this, again, no knock against those programs and those other FCS schools, but for me, I don't really hear about a lot of those programs until the playoffs. When you hear about the FAMU Jackson State rivalry, that thing is building. You just talking about it now. It's building up now. The Southern Jackson State, the Prairie View Texas Southern. That's something that's talked about year round on all stages. So that's what I think the difference is right now in the two. When you talk about HBCU and just regular FCS, there's the fanfare and the coverage and the exposure that HBCUs are getting right now. We're a hot brand. You talk about the Celebration Bowl. That's one of the biggest bowls that's on television right now. And that you can compare that to any other bowl that's going on in the holiday season. So we're a hot brand. We got to stay on the gas and continue to promote that HBCU brand right now.
Great point, Charles. You want to follow up with last question?
Yeah, and I wanted to kind of follow up on something you were talking about, TC, especially talking about that culture. And one of the things that I really marveled at with the 2024 Tigers was, and I said this on a weekly basis, that the opposing team had to match you guys' physicality. And I marveled at the way you guys really sort of physically whooped teams and wore them down in the fourth quarter. But turning the page this year, how do you mine talent for guys that are physical and can integrate themselves within that Jackson State culture?
Yeah, I mean, that's the way we recruit. Those are the type of the guys that we want to bring in here as well, coaches in the same mindset. We played, like you said, Chuck, it was a physical brand we played. It might not have been the prettiest every week, but, our team just wears on you. It just wear on you. If you think you're going to come in there and be a finesse type team, and we're going to come out there, we still play with the mouthpieces tucked in, chin strapped, and we're going to get after it. And that's what we pride ourselves on. We're going to build it in the trenches with that O line and D line. And you saw in the Celebration Bowl, we was able to run the football when we wanted to. Our D line really dominated. That's just something we building this football team on going forward, and we're going to continue to do that. We have. Had Herb Mulligan, some other great running backs in here. And that's the culture. If you come watch our practices now, this was the first time since I've been the head coach, we had tons of college coaches just wanted to come by and watch us practice, and then when they get done watching, they say, I see why, because, this, the springs and this time, like the spring and the fall camps, it's not, that's not a tag off session for us. We're playing physical football. Each and every time we were able to touch the field, and it was able to translate out there. Our strength program, Coach Beef, did a great job with these young men, getting them stronger. We didn't really deal with a lot of injuries. We had some injuries early at the skill position, but, with those big bodies and stuff, we were able to get them through the finish line for us the whole season. So that's what it's all about, and we're going to continue to preach a physical brand. And, you just got to expect that when you play a Jackson State football team.
Were there individuals who stood out for you in terms of this 15 practices and looking at spring ball? Were there guys that you were like, yeah, can't wait to the fall?
Okay.
Hold on. Let me get my pen.
Go ahead, Coach.
I wasn't going to ask because we got snipers out here, man. Folks in these portals, so I just gonna call you on the phone. Charles just gonna put it out there,
and that's the JSU
right high right there.
And that's the JSU alum who sold them out like that.
But no, there was some guys that really stepped up. I'm excited about a few names you guys know. Jacoby Morgan has been a stellar, guy at the quarterback position. Anytime you can have somebody that's been here around 3 years now, and coming off a championship year, he made some strides. I challenged him this spring. I need to see you, be able to make some throws from the pocket, because with an Irv Mulligan walking out the door, a little more going to be on his shoulders. Irv was able to kind of tote the mill on that offensive side of the football, so a little more going to be on him. Travis Terrell, oh my God, he has had an awesome spring. We was concerned, not so much concerned, we just wanted to see how could he, weather the storm for us being an every down back for us at that size. He's put on 10 pounds. He done added some muscle in the weight room. He still is, very explosive on that offensive side. Who else? Jamil Gardner has been having a great camp, our wide receiver, that we were able to get in here last year that we've been kind of waiting to take off. So it's quite a few guys on the defensive side. You got Reed Pulliam coming back. The Mike linebacker, as well as Ashton Taylor. I just don't think nobody in the league can block Jeremiah Williams. We were blessed to get him back in here for spring ball. He was here, there's some people chopping at the bit to get their hands on him. So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed. Hopefully we can get him to the fall, but he's been unblockable. We almost have to hold him out of some practices to get some things done. A couple new names, Kamari Rogers, I played with his dad here, the corner, the transfer from Mississippi State. He has really lived up to that name and that, everything that he's been advertised. He's done a great job. You lose a Rod McDaniel, Chuck. That's the guy getting ready for the draft, but you get Cam Silas in here, 6'3", 215, 220-pound safety, transfer from Kansas State that has been turning heads each and every day. So it's so many guys. The kid from Kanye, the kid came over from Alabama State, wanted to join our program, plays defensive line. He's a really good player. So we're excited about it. I'm not going to do like I did last year and go through the entire roster, but it's a lot of guys up here. We got some good depth, there's some guys that can really play football.
Save it for media day.
We'll catch you on media day. I will say this before we let you go, Coach. I did like the jacket that was presented to the team. I like the jacket. So just so you know, we colleagues, friends over the years now. Or a double X, if need be, if there's a 3X out there, I can make that work. So if something just falls in the closet, right? Just let me know.
You won't get in trouble with that over there in Houston, though, will you?
I'm fine. Transfer portal, baby. Transfer portal. That's my thing. Fans can get a little bit of this love too. But I got you. Because you represent HBCU sports and fans out there, and we have the privilege of having this platform to show. And so I'm looking for those young people that are in elementary, middle school, and high school. So I go around there. Obviously, I have my son. And so one of my things is that I do in the brand is when I want to change up colors or wear something different, I want to represent it from an HBCU perspective. Okay. And so I do that with the hats and jackets and things of that nature. I travel all the time to doing conferences and symposiums, and I want the world to know that HBCUs are thriving. We're persistence, as I like to say, past, present, and persistence. So for me, it is the body of work from a research, marketing, branding perspective. It's what I do, what I live, what I eat.
And we appreciate that too, Doc, man. You continue that.
No problem. No problem. I had to find a way to get off the hook. With that being said, that's
what I said.
That's what they say. That's what the dean does. He finds a way to mix it up. I'm pretty good at it. Well, we'll let you out there. I know you have a big schedule. We need to make sure we get some love from baseball as we talk about that, and softball as they keep those rivalries going throughout the year. So when you turn back over to football, they're hot and heavy, and we kind of had that discussion. With that said, we'll give you time back. Appreciate you joining us on the show. We'll take our next break and come back on the other side. It's Coach T.C. Taylor. The champ is here.
Appreciate y'all.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and Instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Cover's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KeaversVoice.com. Cover's Voice, Cover's Voice, CoversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Wanted to talk a little bit as we have a quicker segment here, and we'll go our last segment. We'll give you some updates on some games to keep your eyes on, rankings in the study. But I wanted to go to Black College Nine's top 10 poll rankings for baseball. We call it the major division. They call it the large division. We also call it the mid-major division, and they call it the small division. That is on blackcollegenines.com. I will not do the entire poll ranking. You can go to the poll rankings and see it. But what's interesting for me here is the fact that we'll look at the top five. And of the top five, 4 of the teams are from the SWAC, and it looks like maybe the SWAC standings was paramount in a lot of people's minds. And of the top 10, 9 of the institutions from the SWAC. So the SWAC is dominating the top 10 rankings. From 5, you do have North Carolina A&T, independent program there in the Colonial, that are known as the Coastal now, CAA. You have number 4, Texas Southern Tigers. In the mix as they're making an early season run. We usually think about them getting hot late in the season. They started off in a really good position. And then you have proverbial those teams that were out of the Eastern Division. As you just have one division now, you have Alabama State, which is 3. And at number 2, you have Bethune-Cookman University, those Wildcats. Florida schools are hot and heavy, as number 1 is Florida A&M and the Rattlers. So again, 4 of those top 5s out of SWAC. That's pretty much the top 4 teams in the SWAC. So, Charles, I'm just interested. What are your thoughts when you kind of hear the top 5 of the top 10 released last Wednesday? The next release will be next Wednesday. So I wanted to give a little update as we start talking about baseball. What are teams looking in terms of the national rankings, if you would?
I tell you what, when you take a look at the top 5, especially 4 out of the top 5, I mean, they're playing some really good baseball. Especially hitting the cover off the ball. Texas Southern has a young man in Kelton Phillips. I mean, leadoff hitter. It's just hard to keep him off the base pass right now. I'm sure he'll be in the running for SWAC Player of the Week. He had another dominant performance this past weekend against Alcorn. Can't say enough about what Florida A&M did to Jackson State. When you talk about a 3-game sweep of a really good baseball team. I have to give Florida A&M some credit. They cooled off a team that, from a pitching standpoint, one of the better pitching teams in the SWAC. They jumped on them on Saturday, 11-1 victory.
Good stuff. Drew, what are your thoughts in terms of the rankings in terms of the top 5 in the top 10?
Interested that 3 of the top 5 would be what you would consider warm weather teams. The two Florida teams and the Texas team being quote unquote warm weather teams where they can get it going a little bit more often outside in
Good point.
compared to some of the other teams. But I hate to go back to 2021 when we was so excited about the new SWAC with FAMU and Bethune coming. I mean, the one thing that a lot of people, not this show, but a lot of people failed to talk about was what was going to be the shift in baseball. And I mean, we're seeing it.
Yes.
FAMU, Bethune, 1-2 in the poll rankings and in the SWAC. The old guard, which at that point in time, Alabama State was one of the hotter teams along with Southern and Jackson State. Alabama State is still holding on. Jackson State and Southern, dare I say it, mediocre this year. I mean, I'm just if you look at the rankings, they're right there, number 6 and 7. So that would be considered mediocre right now.
Especially for their standards. Stetson for their standards.
Exactly. Their standards. This is not the Jackson State and Southern team that we grew up with. So
that's a good point.
Just throwing those out there, food for thought.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. Let's move over to the mid-major small division. What's interesting here is obviously you have the mix potentially of NCAA, Division II, and NAIA programs, and it's actually split 5 and 5. 5 of your teams out of the NAIA and 5 of your teams out of the NCAA Division II. We only look at the top 5, and of the top 5, at number 5 you have Miles College, number 4, Wiley University, at number 3, Edward Waters University, at number 2, Savannah State University, at number 1, Talladega. So of your top 5, 2 are out of the NAIA and 3 out of the Division II, and those 3 are out of the SIAC, while the 2 out of the HBCU AC. So fascinating when you look at that. Charles, any thoughts in terms of the mid-major division from the Black College 9 poll top 10?
I keep blinking my eyes with Wiley in front of Miles and Albany State. That just is that's throwing me off. I mean, I got to give Wiley some credit for being in the top 5, and I had to look at it again like, whoa. So looking at those NAIA teams last season, especially in the Black College World Series, they played some really good baseball. So not really surprising that you got NAIA teams right there in the mix with the Division II teams, but that's Wiley in front of Albany. It just kind of throws me off today.
I get it. The changing of the guard a little bit as they're playing some good baseball. Interesting how that move maybe from the Red River Athletic Conference, HBCAC has helped Wiley University. So it'll be interesting to see what that means for Houston Tillotson and Paul Quinn moving forward, particularly Houston Tillotson with their baseball program. With that being said, Drew, I have to get your thoughts as well.
Charles, I'm going to answer your Albany State question. This Albany State team, I just saw them this past weekend, doesn't have the pitching that the Albany State teams that we have seen over the last 5 years or so with Albany State. They can still hit the cover off the ball, but their pitching is not the same that we've seen. No offense to the NAIA teams, but I find it hard to put an NAIA in the number 1 slot simply because of strength of schedule on the NAIA level. While the good teams, like you said, Dr. Cavil, the good teams are the good teams and they can play some ball, but it's kind of hard to gauge them because of some of the teams who they play on a regular, including some of the teams within their own conference. So while Talladega deserves to be in the top 5, I'm not sold on them being number 1. What's scary for me, and I'm putting my Morehouse hat on right now, is that the 2 SIAC teams sit at the number 2 and the number 3 slot are on our schedule to close out the season. That is scary. And the other series, because we have three conference series left, the other series that we have to close out the season is a team that is not in our poll, but is leading our conference because they are not an HBCU. That is the other team that we have to close out our season with at the house. So we got a real back.
And they were red hot. They won 10 in a row in terms of their last teams. They
I gotta ask a question because I mean I'm really curious about this. Is where can I find me some Saturday Sunday arms? Because these double-digit scores on the weekends, boy, after you get beyond the game one start on Friday, man, it's a free fall on the weekend.
Charles, I think it's going to be more challenging to get those arms as we move into this new college framework where NIL, even more so if this House settlement is approved. Obviously, you had the update yesterday before the championship, oddly enough, and she basically said she wanted a week for them to answer a couple of questions, but everybody believes that it's going to be approved. So with that, now it becomes even more challenging in terms of the best arms that are in baseball that are not going and signing the Major League Baseball first round. Yeah. Now you got those second, they're going to go into, be frank, the SEC, maybe the ACC. Big 12 may get a little share, and you might even sneak some, depending on the region, up in the Big 10 because they're in.
It'd be Big 10 West.
Yeah, where they can, particularly the Big 10 West, where they can put out the money for them. The only thing that may provide some fortunate to that is that you do have your roster limits, which may reduce some of the players they can get in there in terms of where the roster limit is baseball, but it actually extended a little bit. So that might even be a challenge. So I think you're going to have to find a way to enjoy the uniqueness of college baseball from the perspective that you see, right, with its warts and everything. And I think that's just going to be a unique challenge until you find a different way, unless you change the bats maybe. I don't know.
A couple of things. I think we're going to.
Well, let's take this last break, and then we'll come back on the other side and bring you back because we're still going to talk a little more baseball. We'll give a break.
I want to answer Charles's question.
Take that last break.
Planning an event from weddings to corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC brings over 15 years of experience to make your vision a reality. Based in Metro Atlanta and serving statewide, even internationally, we provide versatile event planning and authentic catering cuisines tailored to your needs. Whether it's pre-game meals for student athletes, fundraisers, weddings, corporate functions, CMJ Events LLC is your one-stop solution for exceptional service and unforgettable food. Our diverse culinary heritage means we cater to all cultural tastes, dietary needs, and food restrictions, making every meal uniquely yours. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Visit us on all social media at CMJ Events LLC or email us at cmjeventsllc@gmail.com. Also give us a call at 404-664-3882 so that we can start planning now.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
When you're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics, there's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do. Brian, AD, Roy, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Drew, let's not waste any time. Let's you go ahead and get back into the question you had for Charles.
Well, I was going to answer Charles's question.
Answer the question.
And then I was going to come with a comment. Charles, one reason on the D2 and NAIA level is hard to see pitching, especially on that last game. Lord Jesus, you talk about the second game. You don't have to work them last games like I do with my job.
Oftentimes on that level, that's a doubleheader too. That's the Saturday doubleheader, so it really is a long day.
But that's my point, Dr. Cavil. You've got 3 games within 30 hours. Yeah. And because of budget constraints and everything else, that's tough on these student athletes. That's tough on these arms. And because we don't have the money at the Division II and NAIA level to have those big rosters traditionally, unless you got a bunch of two-way players, it really gets tough to have enough arms, especially if you have a starter that can't give you 5 day one. If your Friday starter gets rocked, or your Saturday starter, if it's a Saturday, Sunday, if your game 1 starter gets rocked, and you have to go to your pen early, or even in the second game, you need your starter in game 1 and game 2 to give you 5 if you're gonna have a chance come game 3. If not, that's why we had those football scores a lot of times by we get to the end of the series.
Charles acting like he's brand new. There was a time in the SWAC where we played double hitters on Saturday. He trying to act like he's brand new now that he got a little money in his pocket. And don't be careful with the change in format. In some of the weather, you've seen a little more of the double hitters in the SWAC this year than you normally seen in the last couple of years as well.
Yeah.
But go ahead, Charles.
My comment, you mentioned NIL, Dr. Cavil, and right now, SEC baseball has been kind of equated to what you would see with AA baseball.
Yeah, that's true.
If you went to professional baseball.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this, with the changing landscape in NIL, these players who would have been draft eligible, who would have gone to the draft, why would I go to the draft for $500 a week when I can stay in college and make this NIL money?
Yeah,
play 3, play 4. If I'm not a first or second round pick, I'm staying in school and gonna continue. You're gonna see, especially when you talk about the SEC, Big 12, Big 10, ACC, you're gonna see a better brand of baseball at that level in the next few years than you will see at the AA and even the AAA level. A lot of times, and definitely better than you're gonna see at single A, because the talent is going to stay in college now.
Yeah, we got an example of that when you on the women's side, college basketball. You've had 3 at least players that I know of, and it might be more, that have decided to retain another year in college versus going to the WNBA that were expected to be a lottery pick, certainly first round WNBA players. So you're kind of foreshadowing that. So great point when you look at that. I won't belabor the point too much here in terms of the poll, because it kind of mirrored what we see in our national rankings with your top 4 teams. It happens to be slightly out of order. You got FAMU at 11-1. They have a win streak of 3 games. Bethune-Cookman at 10-2 with a win streak of 3 games. You have Texas Southern also at 10-2 with the win streak of 7 straight games. So virtually tied there. The second place, Alabama State behind them. 1 game, 9-3, with a win streak of 3, and then you got top 5. We'll go with Grambling State 7-5 in terms of losing 2 straight though. Prairie View in the middle. Their series against Pine Bluff was rained out, but who would have thunk it? Southern and Jackson State are right there in the middle, trying to make sure they stay out of their bottom 4. Particularly when you think about Jackson State and Mississippi Valley State sitting at 4 and 8. Who would have ever thought that you would have those teams? Obviously, it's just getting to the halfway mark. So a lot of baseball, you don't have your doubleheader, so you don't have that. So some of these things could just be a scheduling quirk of you're playing what now you realize in the top part of the conference in terms of the rankings versus those that are at the lower bottom. We'll see how that shakes out. But we only have one more week where we hit the midway mark in terms of 15 games of a 30-game schedule. So I'm interested to see what that looks like. But as we get into this last part of it, and I wanted to follow up with you all, we'll talk a little more details on this on Thursday's show. We do have a Florida A&M at Mississippi Valley State. Valley State has, kind of surprised some folks, but they ran into that buzzsaw last week with Bethune-Cookman. I got to see the middle game where it was actually pretty close for a while, and it just kind of ran out that arm, but Bethune-Cookman got it done. I don't see much taking place in the Delta, but you just never know. It is baseball. Bethune-Cookman at Alabama A&M. So you see Bethune-Cookman maybe continue to get gun. Being on the road, you just never know. At Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Texas Southern. I don't see a lot of movement for Texas Southern, particularly at home. But Pine Bluff is tough. The Grambling State and Prairie View A&M matchup. I think that should be an interesting one. Alcorn State and Southern. Maybe Southern can get some good right. Alcorn is struggling this year. And then you got Jackson State at Alabama State, another good one. One to keep your eyes on. It's a tough series. So I imagine where you're going to go, but I'm going to go with you, Drew. Are you on the same page with the key matches being Grambling State, Prairie View, Jackson State, Alabama State? Now, I forced you. Which one are you keeping your eyes on more than the other?
Oh, I think the sexy game is Jackson State, Alabama State, and I think my sneaky link is going to be the Grambling State and Prairie View A&M.
I like it. Charles, you same playbook, or are you going in a different direction?
Absolutely. I mean, I think Jackson State has to go into Montgomery. They got to get 2 or 3 in that series in terms of, like you mentioned, 4-8 going into that series tied with Valley. So tough back-to-back weekends in terms for Jackson State taking on Florida A&M and Alabama State. I think the schedule kind of lightens up a little bit as we get to the back part of the season, but this is a tough part of the schedule for Jackson State. And like AD mentioned, I mean, Grambling and Grambling and Prairie View. I think that's a big series this weekend as well. Southern took it to Grambling this past weekend.
Yeah, I got to get on the road. I go to Dallas for half a day trip. I don't know what you call it. I'll be back on Saturday. So I'll probably take Deuce out this Saturday to see Texas Southern. And then see if Sunday we can get down to Prairie View. So hopefully I can give you some updates on both sides of what that looks like. I know we're getting ready to close, but I'd be remiss if I didn't give some love to the SIEC, particularly with the AD on here, the D2 guru, as we like to call him in terms of this spot, particularly for the SIEC. We acknowledge Spring Hill, 21-2, 28-9 overall, won the last 10 games. So they're having a wonderful season. We focus on the HBCU, so we'll look at those next 4 or 5. We have Savannah State really having a solid season as well. They're 18-6, 21-9. They've won 7 of the last 10. You got Edward Waters that are 16-8, 23-14. Pretty solid season themselves. They've won 8 of the last 10. Then you have Miles, 13-9, 18-17-1. They've kind of hit a tough streak. They're just 3 of their last 10. They're heading in the wrong direction. And then I'll give some love to Albany State, who is toughing it out. We've kind of surprised where they are.
Albany State just swept us.
They're 14-10, 19-18. They're 5-5, so they just had 500 in their last 10. So I'm not sure. Interesting to see what that looks like. So I did want to give a little bit of love to there. I will speak on Morehouse because we do have the SID here. They sit at 9-15, 15-8, 4-6 in their last. So they're trying to find a way. They get a chance, though, as Drew talked about it, at the end of the schedule. They get a chance to at least make a statement if they can figure out to get it going on the backs to get it done there. I did want you to do me a favor here, Drew, if you would. Pull up the website. I was talking about the Center for Africana Futures. One alluded to this earlier about the conference that we have coming up, a symposium. HBCU Sports AI Symposium. Be right here at Texas Southern University College of Education. It's April the 24th and 25th. 24th, we'll have the commissioners from the HBCUs coming in and talking to our students about how do you get into the business? How do you thrive in the business? We'll have ADs talking about that. Commissioners, I said, on Thursday On Friday, we have a full day length of information when we talk about the fact that we will have several of the ADs. We'll have some entrepreneurs coming in to talk with some business leaders. Again, we'll focus on innovation and action, looking at what that means in terms of the ecosystem. So AI athletics, understanding the value of historic brand association, innovation, and digital media for the future growth and persistence as part of the HBCU Sports Ecosystem Series. That is presented here in the College of Education, Department of Health, Kinesiology, and Sports Studies, and the Department of Athletics have teamed up under the umbrella of the Center for Africana Futures. So wanted to get some information out there. You can go to that website, which is www.centerforafricanafutures.org, and click on the HBCU Symposium Ecosystem Symposium, if you would. If you want to join us, you're able to do that as well. But we do ask that you register. With that being said, we'll call it a show. Get these gentlemen out of here. Make sure Charles can get something to eat as we got him out there in the cold New York. But, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. Make sure that Drew can continue to do his stuff in Atlanta for Morehouse. So we'll let these individuals go. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Mike Washington is still on assignment. I have got to talk to him. Looks like I'll get to catch up with him while I'm in Dallas. So I'll be able to put my eyes on him, Charles, and make sure that he's good. And we'll let him know that we are trying to figure out why he's missing so many of his due diligence, but he keeps feeding me in paperwork to make sure he gets paid. I don't know how that works. I guess you got a lot of time in the severance pool. We look forward to next week, Thursday, to discuss the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That's Facebook, Instagram, DrKenyattaCavil. Threads as well, Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on Facebook and YouTube. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Drew?
Lecture.
Dismiss.
Travel light, everybody.